Hey everybody, Milton Davis here. It's Monday, so we're going to start the week off by talking about one of my favorite subjects, steampunk. So some of you are probably saying, what is steampunk? If you know me, you already know. But steampunk, in our definition, is the steampunk genre based on African diaspora culture and traditions. This came about because of the fact that we were having a discussion years ago about the steampunk genre and about how it didn't really represent other cultures. It was basically this Victorian-based stuff and more like the British Empire type thing. And to be honest, a lot of it was more costuming and different things like that. But there were a few books coming out in the genre, and a lot of black authors and black readers were talking about, hey, we don't really see a lot of black representation in this genre. And that's when we decided to say, hey, well, you guys are writers. Let's do this. Why don't you write your steampunk stories and send them to us? And we chose the name Steamfunk because Maurice Broaddus had brought it up that he used that name when he was talking about his book Pimp My Airship. And like I said, some of you probably heard this story before. But this week we're going to be focusing on steampunk, MV Media. You probably heard some people call it Afro steampunk and different things like that. We choose to call it steampunk because we think it's a cool name. So the first book that we released in the genre was, of course, the Steamfunk Anthology, a collection of stories by authors who basically put their own spin on steampunk. This is not only a good book to introduce you to a different way of looking at steampunk, but it's a good book that defines steampunk in general, because some of these stories in here are like the classic definition of what you would call steampunk. But other stories are where people are taking this concept of steam-based technology and the Victorian type aesthetic and applied it to so many different things. Some of them even out of space. So it's a really cool anthology. It's an anthology where I always tell people that, well, some of the stories, the main characters happen to be black, and for other stories, the main characters have to be black. And if you know MV Media, that's how we operate. The next two books I want to talk to you about are based on a alternate reality world that I created. I was told it was steampunk. For me, it was alternate reality. But the premise behind it was, what if the Haitian Revolution had spread into the American South and a separate nation was born there? In my world, this nation is called Fredonia. And I began to write stories from this particular world. Specifically, the first series that I'm writing is more action adventure. But later on, as I write into it, I'm going to get into more of the political aspects of it. But the series I call it the Timbuktu series. The first book is From Here to Timbuktu. And the sequel to that one is La Rosa de Matanzas. And there will be a third book called The Golden Jaguar, which will be coming out next year. And these books cover the adventures of Zeke Culpepper, who is a Fredonian bounty hunter, and Farmer Keita, who is a Malian warrior, a Horo, who works within the country of Mali and is sworn to protect a group of sacred books that contains old knowledge, old technology, which is actually more advanced than the technology that we have today. And From Here to Timbuktu, the duo are pursuing a Prussian officer who has acquired one of the books and is planning on using the information to raise Prussia's status in the world. In the second book, La Rosa de Matanza, it focuses on Zeke's girlfriend, Pauline Rose, who is actually a Cuban revolutionary that was hiding out in Fredonia. And there's an adventure that involves her going back to Cuba and doing some things for Cuba, but at the same time for Fredonia. The third book, you have to wait to know about that one. Now, I've also written some short stories based on this world, and they popped up in different books. In 2018, I was the guest of honor for WhimsyCon in Denver, Colorado, and they had an anthology come out called Wit and Whimsy, and I had one of my stories in this one called Slipping in the Darkness, which of course, yes, it's based on the song Slipping in the Darkness, because I love that song, and it actually features features a story about Zeke Culpepper when he was in the New Haitian Army, and one of his best friends disappeared. This story also is in my look at me forgetting stuff is in my Visions collection, because I gathered a lot of my stories that I had published in different books and put them in that collection. One of the first stories that I wrote that was outside my own genre was actually in this book, Steampunk Writers Around the World. And actually, the story I put in this one was about Farmer Keita. And the name of that story is See how I forget stuff? The Swarm. The Swarm was actually nominated for a British Science Fiction Award for Best Short Story. And it involves Farmer Keita on a hunt for a fallen Horo who has gone off on his own and stolen some of the technology. I do plan on expanding that into a novel, but this is another story that's also in the in my Visions collection. And last but not least is a novella that I wrote a few years ago, and it's based on a world that Balogun Ojetari and I created, in which Harriet Tubman is a superhero, and it comes from his first novel, The Chronicles of Harriet Tubman, and it's called The Long Walk. It's about a young girl from Trinidad who has come to America with her father to deliver a powerful talisman to Harriet Tubman. But something happens to her father, so now she must take the journey with two companions who are extraordinary, to say the least. So that's kind of like my view of Steamfunk, and I will be focusing on each book this week, emphasizing on it. But you know that the fact that I mentioned these books means that they are on sale this week, so you can go to my site and pull them up and check them out. And get them for a discount. If you're gonna be at Dragon Con, I will have all these titles at Dragon Con. So not only can you purchase them, you can get them signed by yours truly. So yeah, it's gonna be all about Steamfunk this week. Follow my site, check things out, and let's get funky. Y'all take care. Peace.